Boys, we finally made it. UFC 305. We had to go through one of the worst possible fight cards in UFC history, but we're here, 305. We got a bunch of great fights on this card. Gonna give you guys my rare predictions on every single fight, starting with the first fight of the night, ending with Dricus versus Izzy, who I think's gonna win and how. And your boy's gonna go undefeated on this card. Mark my words, every single pick is gonna hit. This is not professional gambling advice, but this shit might just be a lock. But running it up first, flyweight division. Stewart Nicoll taking on Jesus Aguilar. Stewart 8-0, undefeated. However, this is his first fight in the UFC, his UFC debut on a pay-per-view. So who knows if he's going to get those, octagon jitters. Who knows how he's going to perform on his first fight in the UFC. But this man has a height and reach advantage. He has 4 KO wins, 3 submission wins, and 1 decision win. He's coming off 4 KO wins back to back to back to back. He's a decent wrestler, he's a strong guy for this division. He has really good hard leg kicks, which I think is going to be very important in this fight. However, this is a huge step up in competition for Stewart. Jesus Aguilar 10-2. He has 1 KO win, 6 submission wins with 3 decision wins. All of his losses have come from submission, but his last loss against Tatsura Taira, like I said, this guy has fought the way better competition than Stewart, but just because you fought the better competition doesn't mean you're the better fighter. He's currently on a 2-fight winning streak, but I think Stewart is just a little bit better than Jesus Aguilar. I don't think this is going to be a wash performance by any of these guys. I think it's going to be very competitive. First round, I'll give to Jesus. Second, third, I think Stewart is going to win those rounds semi-comfortably. I don't think it's going to be a robbery decision. I think it's going to be unanimous 29-28 decision win for Stewart. Continuing on that undefeated streak, 9-0. Doing decent in his UFC debut. Let's move down to that welterweight division. Kenan Song taking on Ricky Glenn. This is there's a lot of just wash performances that are they're just here to highlight one guy, and I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. Kenan Song, 20-8. He has the same height as Ricky Glenn, but he has a small reach advantage. He has 9 KO wins, 9 submission wins, and 3 decision wins. However, this guy's 9-3 in his last 4 fights. He's never lost by submission, but he does have some crazy one-shot KO power. But does he have the best wrestling? No, he's more of a stand-up type of guy. Wrestling not the greatest, and he is very just terrible walking backwards. He has negative fight IQ as well. That's why it's so hard to pick him, because if you guys don't remember, this guy faced Ian Gary and hurt him bad, dropped Ian Gary, and he could have literally finished Ian Gary with throwing maybe 1 to 2 more shots, but this guy decided to wrestle instead of finishing Ian Gary. Ricky Glenn, on the other hand, 22-8. He has 13 KO, 3 submissions, and 6 decision wins. He's lost by KO, submission, and decision all twice, and is currently on a 2-fight losing streak. Ricky Glenn is here to be a sacrificial lamb, but it just depends if Song is going to show up here with negative fight IQ. Ricky Glenn, in my opinion, a little bit more washed up. I think this should be his last fight. But again, Song is just there's points where it's yeah, this guy can get done. This guy can KO Ricky Glenn. But negative fight IQ moments is what's going to hinder Song in this fight. But maybe he's fixed that. I don't know. He does have the power to put away someone like a Ricky Glenn. So give me Song by a second round. I'm seeing a clean 1-2 that wobbles Ricky Glenn. Then Song finishes up with some sort of left hook, right hook, some sort of hook to finish it off. That's what I'm seeing. Give me second round KO for Song. Lightweight division, Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. Tom Nolan 7-1. He has that height advantage. They both have the even reach. He has 5 KO wins, 0 submission wins, and 2 decision wins. His only loss is to Nicolas Matea by KO. He's 1-1 in the UFC, so not the greatest record. He's a long, really rangy striker. He's very similar to someone like a Corey Sanhagen, I guess, but without all the dynamic striking. He's just a very clean, textbook level striker. Doesn't have the spinning heel kicks, the flying knees, any of that kind of stuff. Alex Reyes, on the other hand, 13-4. He has 9 KO wins, 4 submission wins, and 0 decision wins. He's never lost by submission. However, this boy has been extremely inactive. He's had a bunch of health implications. That's why he's been so inactive. But he's on a 2-fight losing streak to Charlie Chamble back in 2023 and then Mike Perry back in 2017. So very, very inactive. Both of those losses have been by KO, and because of the inactivity, I can't give Alex Reyes this fight. I think Tom Nolan is going to continue on that KO streak. I think he's going to KO him a third time, and I think that's going to be the end for Alex Reyes in the UFC. But moving down, prelims now. We just finished off the early prelims. Let's move into the prelims. Featherweight division, Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. Jack Jenkins, 12-3. He has 5 KO wins, 3 submission wins, and 4 decision wins. He's never lost by decision, and he was on a 9-fight winning streak until he fought Jose Mariscal, but you know, that was one of those fluke injuries where he got slammed on his shoulder and his arm like popped out. It was a weird arm injury back in 2023. He's a good striker with decent takedown defense and good takedowns himself. He's taking on someone like a Herbert Burns, 11-5. He does have that height and reach advantage. He has 1 KO win, 8 submission wins, and 2 decision wins. He's never lost by submission. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, all by KO in the second round. He's honestly just an absolute embarrassment to the Burns family. I don't know why someone like a Gilbert Burns hasn't exiled his ass to like BKFC. He has, you know, okay power. He's an okay grappler, but he has terrible fight instinct. He's a quitter. He's literally just a quitter. He's here for Jack Jenkins to get a highlight reel KO. Best believe Jack Jenkins by second round KO. Lock that in, put that house on that, because that's what's going to happen. Moving down, women's flyweight division, Casey O'Neill, number 15th ranked Casey O'Neill, taking on unranked Luana Santos. Now, Casey O'Neill used to be brought up to be one of these next level prospects, but been semi-inactive. 9-2. She has an even height with Santos, but has a slight reach advantage. She has 3 KO wins, 2 submission wins, and 4 decision wins. She's never lost by KO, and she was on a 9-fight winning streak. That's why she was so highly prospected in this division, but as of right now, 2-fight losing streak. She has some good elbows. Her striking's okay. She is willing to throw hands. Best believe this woman's like willing to throw hands, get into a firefight. She's not just there fainting at the air, punching the air like some of these other women's MMA fighters. Chelsea Chandler. But she's a good wrestler. She's more of a volume striker than anything else. And she has pretty bad takedown defense. I'm not going to lie. She gets hit a lot in her fights. She has bad striking defense. Luana Santos, on the other hand, 8-1. 1 KO win, 4 submission wins, and 3 decision wins. She's only lost by decision. She hasn't been finished in the UFC. She's on a 5-fight winning streak. She's a good grappler with decent power. Definitely more power than someone like a Casey O'Neill. So they get into a firefight. Bad news for Casey. But this is a short notice fight, so I don't know how that's going to play on that Santos side. She has good judo. So honestly, what I think is going to happen, you know, I think it's going to be a relatively 50-50 on the feet, on the ground type of fight. I think Casey is going to be the more volume striker, landing the more volume on the feet, but Luna's going to have the more power thudding shots. I think Luna's going to be the stronger out of the two fighters. Pushed up against the cage, judo throw on the ground, controlled on the ground. I don't think Luana Santos is going to get a finish in this fight. Maybe it was a full camp. She could finish someone like a Casey O'Neill, but I think Luana Santos by a 29-28, 30-27 decision win. Let's keep moving down. Featherweight division. Joshua Culibao taking on Ricardo Ramos. Now, Joshua 11-3. He has that height and reach advantage. He has 5 KO wins, 1 submission win, and 5 decision wins. He's never lost by submission and is currently on a 2-fight losing streak, both by decision. He's a decent striker with good power. He's very, very aggressive in this featherweight division with decent takedown defense. But, you know, this man goes for takedowns, but he can't get a takedown to save his life. Moving over to Ricardo Ramos. He's 16-6 in the UFC. He's 4 KO wins, 7 submission wins, and 5 decision wins. He's lost by KO 2 times, submission 3 times, and decision only once. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, both by submission. But Ricardo Ramos, you know, he's good. He's okay everywhere. He's not good, he's okay everywhere. But he definitely does have KO power to take out someone like a Joshua. But this man has just negative fight IQ. And because of that, you know, if he didn't have negative fight IQ, I would definitely pick someone like a Ricardo Ramos. But because of that fight IQ, go watch some of his past few fights. This man just has literally negative fight IQ, especially when it comes to striking. So because of that, give me Joshua by a 29-28 decision win. I could see Ramos doing really good in the first round, but after that, just lose all steam. And Joshua just building as fight goes on. But moving down, The main event of these prelims, heavyweight division, Junior Tafa taking on Valter Walker. Junior Tafa 5-2, all of his wins are by KO. He's never lost by submission. He's coming off a TKO loss against Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. It was a leg kick followed by punches, wasn't the best showing. Junior Tafa, definitely one of the lower level heavyweight fighters that we have in the UFC. Definitely not someone that's gonna make it into the top 20, He has very good power, bad takedown defense, but the one thing this boy has is he comes into the octagon ready to fight. He's going in there trying to get that KO, where Valter Walker 11-1. He has a height and reach advantage. He has 6 KO wins, 1 submission win, and 4 decision wins. He's coming off his only against Lucas Bresky, where he pretty much just died of lack of cardio. He's definitely more of a wrestler than a striker, but just has garbage cardio. He comes there to lay on you, more unlike Junior Tafa, who comes there to KO you. Because of that, I don't think he's going to fix his cardio in time. I think I'm seeing like a mid-second round KO win for Junior Tafa. But, Junior Tafa, like I said, terrible takedown defense. I could definitely see a world where Valter Walker lays on Junior Tafa all 3 rounds and gets a decision win. Regardless, let's get into this main card now. Welterweight division. Jingliang Li is taking on Carlos Prates in that welterweight division. 19-8 for Lee. He has 10 KO wins, 4 submission wins, and 5 decision wins. He's never lost by KO, coming off that robbery loss against Daniel Rodriguez back in 2022. So, been a little bit inactive, which not the greatest look. I'm not gonna lie, that's not a good look. He's a good boxer with good power, has good volume. The only downside is he doesn't throw many straights. Most of his punches are hooks. He doesn't throw many jabs, so not the greatest thing to see against coming into this fight. He's not that good with grappling either, but he's very, very durable, decent chin. I don't think this is the fight where we're gonna see Lee KO'd on the ground. I don't think this is the fight. Carlos Prates, on the other hand, 19-6, height and reach advantage, 14 KO wins, 3 submission wins with 2 decision wins. He's lost twice by KO, 3 times by submission, and 1 time by decision. He's on a 9-fight winning streak. He has really, really good footwork. He's definitely going to be the faster fighter out of the 2 with good striking. He doesn't just headhunt. He goes to the body, goes to the leg. He's very dynamic with head kicks, spinning kicks, all of those things. And maybe if this wasn't an older Lee and he was more active, I could pick someone like him to get the job done, but I'm seeing a Carlos Prates 30-27 very dominant decision win here, just because the inactivity, Lee's not getting any younger, and I think the footwork and the dynamic strikes are just gonna be way too much for Lee, unfortunately. Let's move down, heavyweight division. This might be a surprise. Tuivasa, Jairzinho, Rozenstruik, tied number 10 in the rankings. Jairzinho number 12. Tuivasa right now 14-7 with 13 KOs, 0 submissions, and 1 decision win. He's lost 3 times by KO, submission, and 1 time by decision. He's coming off a 4-fight losing streak, all of them by finish, which is just terrible. He's probably one of the more stronger, powerful strikers in this division, but this, as a famous Khabib once said, brother, your takedown defense is 0, brother. So not the greatest look, but I don't think the takedown defense is going to be a big factor in this fight, because Jairzinho, I don't think he's going to go for takedowns. I think it's going to be a striking battle. Jairzinho 14-5. He is an even height, but he has that reach advantage. He has 13 KO wins, 0 submission wins, and 1 decision win. Literally exactly the same to Tuivasa. He's lost 2 times by KO, 1 time by submission, and 2 times by decision. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He's a good counter striker, but it does take him a little bit of time to get going. And I do see, round 2 comes into play. I see Tuivasa getting Jairzinho to get into a firefight, and Jairzinho is not good at firefights because he gets very, very sloppy, and I think Tuivasa is going to catch him during that firefight. Second round KO. We're going to see the legendary Tuivasa show up at UFC 305. So second round KO win by Tai. Give me that. Praying for my boy not to go on a 5-fight losing streak. But let's move over. Lightweight division. Mateusz Gamrot, number 5 in the rankings, taking on number 11, Dan Hooker. Gamrot, 24-2. He has 8 KO wins, 5 submission wins, and 11 decision wins. All of his 2 losses do come from decisions. Garum Kutseledze and Benil Dariush. But this man, no power to his shots at all. The only real thing that Gamrot does have is crazy cardio, crazy volume, non-stop, just pushing forward, chain wrestling. And you know, he doesn't have the greatest chin. I think he's been dropped in like every single one of his fights. He doesn't have any finishing instinct either. Dan Hooker, on the other hand, pretty much the exact opposite of a Gamrot. 23-12, he has a height and reach advantage with 11 KO wins, 3 submission wins, and 5 decision wins. He's lost by KO and submission 3 times and decision 6 times. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights, but it does seem like he's getting his groove back after that Jalen Turner fight. And to be honest, he has a really good style to beat someone like a Gamrot. Long, rangy striker, very technical, has some dynamic strikes here and there. But you know, he does have some bad fight IQ at times. He can get into the firefight, which makes him very sloppy. He can get taken down really easily from that. He does have good takedown defense though, but I don't think it's gonna matter. I think Gamrot, if he wants to, he'll be able to take down Dan Hooker. Maybe not the first one, maybe not the second one, but like I said, he does do the chain wrestling, so he'll eventually get Dan Hooker down. He's coming off a decent layoff because of his broken arm against Jalen Turner, but this boy got that dog in him. I'm seeing a second round KO win, you know. I think Gamrot's gonna have a hard time with the puzzle of Dan Hooker, you know, this long, rangy striker. I think round 1, best believe Dan Hooker's going to have some good success, but Gamrot's eventually going to get him down, control him down, win the round. Round 2, same thing. I think Hooker will have some success stuffing some of the takedowns. But like I said, Gamrot's been knocked down in every single one of his fights. And if Dan Hooker can knock him down, he has that finishing instinct where I think he can put away Gamrot. So give me Dan Hooker's second round KO. Let's go into this co-main event now. Flyweight division. Kai Kara France, number 4 in the division, taking on number 7, Steve Erceg. Kai Kara France, 24-11. He's going to have that reach advantage, which is very surprising because Steve Erceg 12-2 and has that huge height advantage. But regardless, going back to Kai, 11 KO wins, 3 submission wins, and 10 decision wins. He's lost by KO 3 times, submission 3 times, and decision 5 times. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, a TKO loss to Brandon Moreno, and that very, very close decision win to Amir Albazi. He has good striking volume and decent power in this division, but Steve Erceg, 12-2, 2 KO wins, 4 submission wins, and 6 decision wins. All of his losses have come from decision, and he was on a 11-fight winning streak until he had that very, very close fight to Pantoja. He's a good, very fast grappler with good leg kicks and, you know, decent stand-up. It's not the best in this division, but I guarantee he's going to be the bigger fighter out of the two in this fight. I think Kai Kara France can get stuff going in the first round, stuff some takedowns here and there, be semi-competitive on the feet, probably win the first round, but Steve Erceg is just going to be way too big for Kai Kara France. I do see him eventually in the second and third round, taking him down, controlling him on the ground for the rest of the second and third round. Give me a 29-28 decision win for Steve Erceg. It's going to be competitive, but I just think the grappling aspect of Steve Erceg is going to be too much for Kai Kara France. On the feet, they're going to be very close on the feet. I think Steve Erceg is going to have the slight disadvantage, but on the ground, I think Steve Erceg is going to have a huge advantage. Let's move over. The main event now, middleweight division. Dricus du Plessis, the champion, taking on number 2 ranked Israel Adesanya. Now Dricus 21-2. He has 9 KO wins, 10 submission wins, and 2 decision wins. He's never lost by decision. He's on a 9-fight winning streak, and he hasn't lost since 2018. He has crazy power and even crazier cardio, but the one thing that this man is lacking is some very, very sloppy technique. He does have some very good explosive takedowns. He's going to be the way stronger guy out of the two. Mark my words, Dricus is going to be way stronger than Izzy in there, and he's going to do really well being the pressure fighter. Now, Israel, on the other hand, 24-3. He has that height and reach advantage. He has 16 KO wins, 0 submission wins, and 8 decision wins. He's never lost by submission, and he is 1-2 in his last 3 fights. He has very good explosive counter striking with decent takedown defense. It's not the greatest. Like someone like a Pereira took him down. So if Pereira can take him down, Dricus will 100% take him down. And overall, Israel Adesanya is the better fighter out of the two technique wise. But to be honest, Dricus has that style to beat Israel. You know, if we're just going straight off logic, Dricus will either ground and pound KO Israel, or he'll take him down and submit him. Those are the two most logical outcomes. However, been saying this for a hot minute. This shit's been written in the stars already. It's engraved into the universe for some reason. You know, I don't want people to think I'm glazing Izzy like this. I don't like the guy, but it's just, you can't tell me that for some reason the MMA gods are going to do some bullshit and have Israel KO Dricus in the first round. Some bullshit like that's going to happen, where I think, you know, Dricus should win this fight. But the MMA gods are going to do some fuckery and get Izzy to win by KO. Best believe some bullshit like that's going to happen. So give me Izzy by first round KO. And yeah, stand it on business on that. I've been saying this for like weeks and weeks now, maybe a month now, but stood on business. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of these picks? Out of all these fights, which one are you most excited for? To be honest, I hope the beef stirs up a little bit more with Dricus and Adesanya during fight week. Because if it does, I think that'll be my most anticipated one. Because if they don't have that beef attached to it, that was honestly what was driving the most amount of hype for this card. Because I made a whole video on, is the hype for this fight dead? And to be honest, yeah, the answer is yes. The hype for this fight is dead. I think fight week can, you know, make it come back alive. But as of right now, this shit's dead and been dead for a hot minute. But let's see some more gaslighting from Dricus. Let's have some cringy one-liners from Izzy. Let's get this hype building back up. And yeah, your boy's on that goal to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you have not yet, leave a like on this video and subscribe with those post notifications turned on so you never miss any of these rare prediction videos or any of my rare videos in general. And yeah, there's really not that much else left to say except for I will see you guys in my next video.